The game of basketball at its core is incredibly simple, as the goal of the game is to just put a ball through a hoop more times than your opponent, but the reality of the sport is that there is without question a more complex objective. The players that produce the most in the box score tend to get the most recognition and praise, but with the amount of data and analytics at our disposal nowadays, we can more accurately assess who is actually impacting the game in a positive way beyond these basic numbers, and there isn't a player more at the core of this than Russell Westbrook. Westbrook has put up numbers we've very literally never seen before in the NBA, and yet despite this, he tends to carry such a negative connotation when discussed by the general public. His overall approach to the game, his decision-making throughout games, and his shortcomings tend to hold him back from the greatness he has shown that he's capable of, and he just recently let slip a bit of information in an interview that gave us a look into his mindset that unfortunately explains a lot and is quite worrying. I'll get into exactly what I mean by that later in the video, but first I want to thank PrizePicks for sponsoring this video. PrizePicks is the perfect service for all of us basketball fans here because when you're involved, it makes watching games every night so much more fun and engaging. Basically, it's an application that provides you with lines on all kinds of player props such as points, rebounds, and assists, and you simply have to choose whether you believe they'll record over the set amount in the line or under the set amount in the line. Make your selections, wager however much you want to, and if your picks hit, you can win big money. For some picks I'm looking at today, I'm thinking of going with Terry Rozier to score over 17.5 points, Jaylen Brown to record over 3.5 assists, and Nikola Vucevic to grab over 10.5 rebounds. If this sounds at all intriguing to you, then go use the link in the description of this video to sign up today and use promo code REFERENCE to receive a 100% deposit match bonus up to $100. Once again, thanks to PrizePicks for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back into the topic at hand. If you were to ask the average basketball fan who the most polarizing player in the league has been over the last, say, 5 years, one of the most common answers to the question would undoubtedly be Russell Westbrook. Other common answers would probably be guys like LeBron James, James Harden, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant, but in terms of sheer polarization, and not just who the most popular or hated is, Russ would probably be my pick for number one. The way he's viewed in the eyes of fans, and even some of the smartest analysts, tends to fall on one end of two extremes, and never anywhere in between. One side considers him a stat-chasing loser who puts up the most hollow production the league has ever seen, and the other side looks at the historically great numbers he's been dropping on a regular basis over the last 5 years, and are always quick to point the finger at those around him for his shortcomings. I must say that the amount of people in the second group have been somewhat decreasing as of late, but in general, not too long ago, these two sides were fairly balanced in size, and there would never be any changing of minds. The truth to the matter, though, is that we should all be able to marvel at the numbers that Russ has been putting up over the last 5 years while also acknowledging his obvious shortcomings, but this becomes even more difficult of a task when Westbrook himself fails to acknowledge said shortcomings, and this is my way of segueing into the reason why I've been making this video in the first place. After the Lakers game against the Nets on Christmas Day that the team lost, a game where Westbrook also happened to shoot 4 for 20 from the field, he gave a quote that I believe summarizes everything that has gone wrong in Westbrook's career to this point and basically confirms a lot of the skeptics' beliefs about the way that he approaches basketball. In this post-game interview, he said, and I quote, "Honestly, I think I've been fine. The conversation has been heavily on how I'm playing and what I'm doing, but I think people are expecting me to have fucking 25, 15, and 15, which that is not normal. Everybody has to understand, like, that's not a normal thing for people to do consistently." He then continued by saying, "Honestly, I'm over the whole situation with what everyone else wants me to do and what they think I should be doing." On the surface, it's true, putting up absurd triple-doubles like dropping 25, 15, and 15 is not normal at all, and expecting that of him on a nightly basis would definitely be downright delusional, but that's not at all what people are expecting from him, and that's where the disconnect lies. Nobody has ever ragged on Westbrook because he didn't grab enough rebounds, or he didn't score enough points, or he didn't dish out enough assists, and if he thinks that's the core of the criticisms towards him, then he might be too far gone at this point, because this is his 14th season in the NBA, and if things were ever going to click, they would have by now. The primary criticisms towards Russ over the years, and especially recently, have been his turnover problems, his questionable shot selection, his struggles shooting from the perimeter, and his aloof defensive presence, in which he regularly loses his man and allows easy baskets. Last season, the Lakers were the #1 ranked defense in the NBA. This year, they're ranked 12th, and much closer to mediocre. Individually, players shoot about 2.5% better from the field when guarded by Russ, according to the NBA's defense tracking metric. The Lakers' defense as a team improves by 5.2 points when he's on the bench, and the team goes from being outscored by 3.3 points per 100 possessions with him on the court to successfully outscoring opponents by 2.2 points per 100 possessions with him on the bench, which is a 5.5 point improvement. You can try to argue that numbers don't tell the whole story, and you have to watch the games, which is the truth, but when you're watching Russ fall asleep in key moments, like the one you're watching on your screen right now, that argument goes out the window, especially with how regularly this happens. The Lakers are the biggest franchise in the NBA, so the coverage they get can definitely at times blow things out of proportions. But the basic message I'm trying to convey here is that Westbrook still somehow doesn't understand where his issues lie. There are a lot of brilliant analysts and reporters that cover the Lakers in the media that I follow the work of, and I don't think I've seen anyone say he needs to start dishing out more assists or grabbing more rebounds to be a more effective player on this Lakers team. What they need is for him to stop falling asleep on defense, to cut out the bad and unforced turnovers, as he currently has committed the most turnovers in the NBA this season, and to stop settling for jump shots when the opportunity to drive and get a better look is available to him. The last time we saw Russ in a truly dominant state was from the period of December to March of his last season in Houston. In that span, over a 30-game period, he averaged over 31 points per game and shot over 50% from the field, and he genuinely seemed to be turning a corner. What was the key to his success in that stretch? He cut back on his three-point attempts and attacked the basket non-stop. He wasn't averaging double figures in rebounds or assists either. Yet in that stretch, everybody was praising his play, and many thought he finally came to the realization that when he plays to his strengths, he can still be great, but unfortunately the season got cut short, and when play resumed, he suffered some unfortunate injuries and caught COVID, which I guess is understandable for his play to have fallen off in that short period afterward. The point of all of this, though, is that there are a lot of problems that are fixable with just a mental shift, but that shift won't happen if he doesn't even know what's wrong in the first place. Westbrook has so much talent, which is what makes him so polarizing, because the mental lapses he goes through on the court are what hold him back, and now his future in Los Angeles may depend on that quick fix, with the trade deadline approaching and rumors continuing to swirl. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below your thoughts on Russell Westbrook and the current state of the Lakers. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.